Hey, what's happening? This is your host, Tinto. And before we get started on this weekend's exciting episode, I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that got me coffees. And I have just you, Ropa We Afro, an incredible contribution of 10 coffees. And guess what? You left no comment. Ropa, why did you do that? We talk very regularly. It would have been nice to get a comment from you, but all good. I really appreciate the support. If you'd like to support the podcast in a similar manner, please head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/feeling station and give as your spirit leads. Remember, there is nothing that is too small to support the podcast that you've grown to love. With that out of the way, let's get straight into this weekend's episode. And I must tell you, it's a slow burner, but if you're patient with it, it will leave you feeling a type of way, which means I have to give you a trigger warning. This episode is very likely to trigger you if you are sensitive to things around abuse, control, and emotional abuse, because I got triggered and I just needed you to know.
Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On Feeling Station.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Welcome to the Feeling Station.
Thank you.
For those listening to the podcast for the first time, it's a romantic family and friendship breakup podcast showcasing stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give lessons from their experiences. Now, I hope you find today's story entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful. And the podcast is popular for two main reasons. One, I do my best to keep my guests anonymous, which brings me to the fun part. Are you ready for this, my friend?
Yes, I am.
All right. So I've gone over to the lovely region of East Africa, and I'm giving you a name in Swahili. And your name is Taraji, which is Taraji. Taraji.
Wow. I like it.
Yeah, and what that means is hope.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you generally a hopeful person?
Yes. Well, we wouldn't be able to live without hope.
You see, but the interesting thing is, when you give up hope in a relationship, you end up here on the Feeling Station.
Yeah, something like that.
So your name means hope. And what name are you going to give the name of the person you're talking about today?
Well, I'm going to give him the name Goody.
Ooh,
It's a short for Good Riddens.
Ah.
Yeah.
I thought you called him Goody because I'm thinking about goodie bags. And goodie bags normally have treats, and sometimes the treats are nice and sweet and they're a pick-me-up. So I'm like, you're calling him Goody because it's been a nice guy picking you up, what? Little did I know it's short for Good Riddens.
Yeah, Good Riddens.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the story is going to be about Taraji and Goody.
Goody. Yeah.
The second reason why the podcast is really popular is there are real life lessons that people are going to learn from the story you're going to share today. So, my friend Taraji, what lessons do you have for people to learn?
Okay, well, I've got two lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be desperate. And secondly, don't make everything spiritual.
Hey!
Yeah.
You see, I like these two for one particular reason. People will use the spiritual side to justify desperation.
Yeah.
Because they will say, God says, I will find a husband. God says, I will find a wife. God says, it's not good for man to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then use that grounds to say, I've got somebody now, and this must be God speaking to me. So this has got to be my husband. This has got to be my wife.
Yeah.
But they also
it's a
forget.
very terrible idea.
Yeah, but they also forget that in the same Bible, you got Paul who's telling people that if you do not want to have trouble, do not get married. Obviously, he chose to be single. He chose not to get married because he felt that a woman and a wife would be a distraction from preaching the gospel and spreading the gospel. So in one of the books that he wrote, he says, if you don't want to have a wife, it's good not to have one because I'm trying to save you from the troubles of having one. Now, he's not saying that women are problematic, but he's saying that they could be a distraction from delivery of the gospel.
Yeah, yeah.
But the point I'm getting at is people don't see that side of it, Goody. It's actually okay sometimes to choose to be single. And that is also a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in seeing how this is going to morph in your story. So I'll play back your 2 lessons. Number 1 is don't be desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 is don't make everything spiritual.
Yes.
Cool. Taraji, let's get into it. Where did you meet Goody and why did you decide this is the guy for me?
Okay, so I met Goody in 2014 at school during varsity. So during that time, I had been praying for a husband. I've been praying and praying for a very long time. I think for about a year. And I was like, God, I want the next person, my next boyfriend to be my husband. So I got what I asked for. But there was something wrong.
You got what you asked for, which was what? A guy?
I got a boyfriend who later became my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we dated for about 5 years. He was like the perfect boyfriend, the kind of boyfriend who buys you gifts, buys you clothes, brings you treats all the time, the one who takes care of you. I mean, he was the guy you'd go to whenever I had a problem. I could just go to him and he would help. He was almost perfect. And then I also ended up ignoring some red flags. And the other thing that happened was there was this prophet who actually, spoke on behalf of this guy, like, well, this is the right person. You should definitely marry him, that kind of stuff. So we dated knowing that we were in a committed relationship. And I had made everything spiritual. And I had ignored that this guy had anger issues. And thinking about it now, I actually got to find out that he's got this personality disorder of being a narcissist kind of person.
So I'm going to rewind a little bit. You said you met this guy in university, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys were studying at the same university.
Yeah.
Was there an age difference? Was there an age difference between you two?
Yes, there was a 2 years age difference.
So he's 2 years older or 2 years younger?
2 years older.
Okay, so this guy is 2 years older than you are. What made him come to you and say, "Hey, Taraji, I'm really into you"? Did you guys used to go to the same classes? I'm kind of missing a gap in terms of what got you interested in this guy and what made you say yes to him.
Okay, so what happened was this guy, he called me over the phone on his friend's phone. So I stayed.
How did he get your number?
He didn't have my number, but he called his friend, his female friend. So I used to stay at the same house with the female friend.
Oh, yeah.
So he had seen me. Yeah. He had seen me. I had not seen him, but he had seen me. And apparently on the day he called, he just thought about me. And then he was like, let me just give this girl a call, And then I then later gave him my number, and then we started communicating from then.
How did you feel when he called you first time round, randomly from your friend's phone?
Well, at that time I was single and desperate because I was also tired of being single. And I mean, everyone around me had a boyfriend. So I really, really wanted a boyfriend. And then he showed up.
How old were you?
I was 20.
So you're 20 years old. You've just about finished your A-levels.
I had actually finished. It was like my first year in university.
Yeah. So you finished your A-levels. A-levels are great for books and studies and grades, etc., etc. You've probably had that break between A-levels and university, which is quite long-ish. It's about 8 months, if I remember.
Yeah.
And then you're in your first year of uni. I'm just trying to understand why you felt you'd been single for a long time when you're 20. Because I think my first serious, in quotes, relationship was at the age of 25. And I only say it was serious because it lasted a number of years. So,
All right.
so for you, this is age 20. At what age would you have been okay for you not to say that you've been single for a long time? The point I'm getting at is you're 20. In my head, I'm thinking that's when you should really start like, oh, I'm going to start dating now. Not because I've been single for a long time, but because I'm curious about boys and I'm curious about relationships. Why did you feel the pressure that you'd been single for a long time? Was it pressure from you, pressure from your parents, pressure from church? Where was the pressure from?
I think mostly it was from me because I had been single for like 3 years. Yeah.
And this
I've
is
been single for 3 years. Yeah.
okay. So you had a guy
Since I was 15.
when you were 15.
Oh, 16.
When you're 16,
Yeah.
you had a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a boyfriend during your O levels,
Yes.
and then when that finished, you were single until you got to the first year of uni. That felt like a long time for you personally.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
And also everyone around me had a
Mhm.
boyfriend.
And
So I also felt like I needed to have a boyfriend.
right, so it's kind of peer pressure is what moved you into saying, "Hey, I need to have a guy."
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then this guy comes
Yes.
along, but then of course it was important for you to start thinking about a husband.
Yes. I didn't want to date around. I just wanted to be, to just meet the right person.
Mhm.
Then. So that's when the spiritual aspect came in because I was praying about it. I was also believing God for that.
Mhm.
So when it came, I just thought this is God.
Yeah, this is God responding to my prayers. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So apart from that, during that time, I was really involved in church activities. So there was this prophet who also came up to tell me that, well, this guy is the right person.
So for you, what did you want in a guy before the prophet told you he's the right person? What did you want so that you'd say this is the right person for me before the prophet? Give me 3 things you wanted in a man.
Well, I wanted the person to be God-fearing, to be smart and intelligent, and to be loving to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And this guy had all these qualities.
Well, he pretended to have this quality.
Which quality was he? Qualities. Well, which quality? What
Well,
quality or qualities was he missing?
God-fearing part, the loving me part.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. I think I will speed through the whole process of you guys getting warm and in love, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Did you sleep with him?
Yeah. After about 4.5 years, just before we got married.
Oh, you guys got married.
Yeah, we later got married.
Ah, okay. So maybe let me not speed it up so quickly then, because there's a build up here that I need to get a feel of. So this guy calls you from your friend's number. You're like, okay, let's start talking. Did you immediately feel physically attracted to him, emotionally attracted to him? I'm really trying to get a sense of how you guys blossomed from strangers to becoming lovers.
Well, he was a really sociable person. I enjoyed talking to him. So he would call me every day for like hours and would talk until he came to see me in person. And of course, he was a very generous person. He brought me gifts. And then from then, I said yes. I actually didn't take a long time before saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I liked this person, so I'm going to say yes. And then I did.
Nice.
And then we dated.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship was fine. He was committed. I was committed to the relationship. But then thinking about it now, I'm seeing that there were red flags that I ignored. During that time, he asked me to put him as my profile picture. I think that was like after maybe 6 months into the relationship, and he wanted to be on my profile picture.
On WhatsApp?
Yeah, on WhatsApp.
Okay. Why hadn't you? But why hadn't you made him why didn't you made him your profile picture in the first place?
Oh, I didn't think it was necessary, but he had made me his profile picture.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So he wanted you to reciprocate that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up putting him as my profile picture. And the relationship was, it was a really serious relationship. So we actually, we ended up spending a lot of time together during the relationship. Like we were always together a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, the other thing that would happen, like in terms of the red flags, was that he was like really jealous and he would like guard me a lot and wouldn't let anyone come close to me. And he would go through my phone and call my potential boyfriends at that time.
How would you know that these are potential boyfriends?
Any boy that's in my inbox would be regarded as a potential boyfriend.
What inbox? Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp?
WhatsApp.
So these guys
WhatsApp.
so these guys would have been given your number by who?
By me, because I was single. I was in a relationship, but then also single. I wasn't married.
How does that work? So I know you're not married.
Mm-hmm.
So what does being single but you're committed to someone mean? That you can still entertain other people until he puts a ring on it?
Yeah. Yes. Shopping around. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand what the meaning of committed here means. Right? And I've just literally Googled it right now just to see what the let me just type is commitment, right? And what the definition here is, and this is from the Oxford definition, is it's the state of being dedicated to a cause, an activity, or an individual. So you're not married, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you are in a committed relationship, and this is your language. You said you guys were committed to each other, which means you guys were in a state of being dedicated to each other as people.
Mm-hmm.
So where was the room for these other people that you were entertaining? Why were they in the picture?
I think it's because this was like my second boyfriend. So the thing that actually motivated me to be in that relationship was the fact that there was this prophet who said that this was the man I was supposed to be with. So I actually hung to that word, but then I also wasn't sure if this was really a good idea.
That's the sense I'm getting and why I'm now asking these questions. Because I'll just go again, back to the definition. And you said you guys were committed. Commitment is the quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, or individual. So you would have been dedicated to him, which means all of these people whose numbers you keep giving should not have been happening. Because if that is happening, you no longer fit the definition of commitment. So you were not committed.
Okay.
In the first place. I mean, that's the sense I'm getting. And you told me that you weren't sure. You're just hanging on to what the prophet said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're in something because someone says you should be in it. But your behavior is pointing towards, this is not a good idea for me. So something tells me that within your gut, you knew this guy was not good for you from day one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're stuck in it because the man of God had told you something that you wanted to pay attention to because it's not good to be disobedient to God and God's word.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe the problem wasn't so much 100% his fault. I'm getting the sense you had a part to play because you could have let him go because your heart was telling you this is not right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I could have.
So why didn't you listen to your heart and your gut?
Well, at the time, the guy was good to me, and I also wanted to do the right thing. I actually wanted to do the right thing. There was like the motivation that I had.
Do you not feels like the right thing to me?
Yeah, I thought it was.
The right thing to me right now feels like letting him go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you are not into this guy. You were clinging onto God's word delivered via a prophet who would neither be in your guys' company or space when you guys were alone together having discussions and forming whatever you felt was a relationship.
Yeah. True. Mm-hmm.
So now I want to know, you said you guys were together for 4 years before you got married?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to know all the red flags on his part and on your part, because for now, you have a red flag too, which is you are being dishonest about your state of affairs with regards to the relationship.
Okay.
You're not in it out of concern, out of care, out of love, out of interest. You're in it because a prophet said this is the man for you and you didn't want to disobey God's man, God's word delivered via the prophet. So you got your own red flag, number one.
Mm-hmm.
What are his red flags as we go further down? Tell me all of them.
Okay. You would easily get moody. He was disrespectful. Like when it came to elders, he didn't want to hear anything from anyone else. And then he was also like violent. He would get violent. He didn't get violent with me during the dating phase, but he later did. But then when it came to like other people, he would, as long as I'm not there actually, because I would later hear about it. And then he was also really possessive, that he would call me like all the time, and I had to say I love you on the phone for him to have peace of mind. Yeah.
So if we had a 5-minute conversation about, oh yeah, the uni was really tough today. I struggled with this lesson. Now I'm just gonna go home and sleep. I'm tired. I need some rest. Can I talk to you tomorrow? He says, fine.
Yeah.
You had to say, I love you before you get off that 5-minute conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Every time that you spoke, you had to say that.
Yeah, every time.
Would he be the one to say I love you too first, or you always had to be the one to say I love you first?
Well, he had to say it. He would say it, and I would have to respond. Yeah.
So would you ever initiate saying I love you without him prompting you?
Yeah, I would. Because it later became just the norm of how we would do things. So it was something that we always did.
So would you say I love you because you don't want to be in trouble, or you said it because you really felt it from inside you?
Well, I did feel it. I did. As time went on, I did feel it. I did fall in love with him.
Tell me what made you fall in love.
Well, he had like the other good qualities. He was a reliable person. He took care of me. He was always affirming me. And he was really, really, really committed to the relationship. And also he was like the alpha kind of male. So it also like gave me a reputation.
What does that mean?
Well, he had like, a very large social circle. I had a very small one. So he was always in a lot of places. So me as the girlfriend, the queen, anyway, I just felt like there was some kind of status that was attached to him that I got to.
Taraji.
I know. It's madness. Yeah. It was really bad.
Okay. I won't pass comment there, even though I really want to. I'll move on with this. So you guys then date for 5 years, and then he decides to ask you to become his wife.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then we got married.
Walk me through that. Tell me how all of that happened and how that came about until you got married, etc., etc.?
Well, we were living as neighbors at that time. So,
Eh?
yeah, as neighbors.
What do you mean?
He got me a place to stay right next to him, like next door to him.
Why didn't you just move in with him?
Well, we did cook together. We did have a combined budget.
Yeah,
We
so why
actually
not just
did
move in with
stuff
him?
together.
So
well,
why the two different houses?
well, I wanted to get married first before moving in with him. But of course, I would go for sleepovers, um, weekends, almost all weekends.
Aibo.
So we were spending a lot of time together.
So you guys are thinking of becoming one family household
Mm-hmm.
under one roof,
Yeah.
meaning you're paying either one mortgage or one set of rent. But because you're not married, which again is a great value to hold up,
Yeah.
you'd rather spend more, have less money in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and still live under the same roof because it feels like you were at his place more than you were at yours.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
you got money coming out. Who are you trying to fool? Yourselves or people around you?
People around, definitely.
Why?
Well, we knew what was the right thing to do, which is to get married first. And we didn't want to move in together without the getting married first.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So now the reason to get married is so that you guys can move in with each other.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And make it official.
Even though you weren't really committed to this guy because you were still single in quotes.
Well, I mean, those other times, I think that was like the first year of the relationship. Later, after that, we were actually really, really, really committed to each other. I was committed as well. I had no
Okay.
potentials and all. Mm.
How did you tell your potentials to go away?
It was hard, but I'll just tell them I have a boyfriend.
Why was it hard if you had a boyfriend all along?
Well, people would give you reasons. You've got a boyfriend, but you're not married. So why not just at least see, maybe I'm better than your boyfriend?
I still don't get why that was hard for you because that's a guy just telling you I really want you.
Yeah.
But you already have someone, so why was it hard for you to let them go?
I think the saying no part was the hard part, not necessarily letting them go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So he then approaches your family and says, I want to marry you. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How excited were you?
Well, I was a bit excited, not too excited. I was actually didn't know if I was going to get married to him or not because during that time we had a lot of fights and there was this time when I was sick and then I went to see the doctor and then he was like, who paid the hospital bills for you? And then I paid for myself because I was working. And he got really angry about it. And he actually beat me. He did hit me. And then he called my parents and told them that I had gone to the hospital and and some doctor paid the hospital bills for me. So he hit me. So this was like a
Sorry.
week before.
I almost choked on my saliva there. You're telling me, okay, by this time, is he your fiance? Has he told your
he
family
was.
that I want to? Okay, so your fiance called your parents
Yeah.
to say, I've just beaten up your child because they got their medical bills paid by someone.
Mm-hmm. And it was not even true because I'd actually paid my own bills.
Is this guy okay?
Probably not.
What did your parents say to that?
Yes. Well, Oh, they spoke to him, I guess, telling him to calm down, that kind of stuff. And then he later apologized to.
Wait. So I have a son.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just come back from a holiday abroad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my son was playing in a jumping castle. And there's my son is 5. And there's a 10-year-old boy who was pushing him around. And he came running to me. And he's like, Papa, this boy's pushing me. Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of went to assess the situation. I'm like, okay, guys, play together. And I went back and I sat down. Then my son came back in tears and he said, this boy is still pushing me. Right. And then I went back in and I asked the supervisor, hey, can you please contain the situation? Because there's somebody else's child involved. I went back. Then my son came a third time with even more tears. Then I got upset. And I went in and I found the boy and I watched from a distance and he was pushing my son. So when he pushed my son, then I walked into the jumping castle and I said, what are you doing? And then he had some excuse to say, oh, your son threw a ball at me 2 days ago. I'm like, look, one, that's 2 days ago. He's 5 years old. It was a mistake. Don't push my son.
Yeah.
Then the little kid was like, oh, buddy started it. And then I actually got wound up and kind of raised my voice and I said, don't push my son. Right? Leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
You play over there, let him play over here. And then I went and I spoke to the guy in there and I said, look, if this guy touches my son again, I'm going to have an issue with you and with him. So please keep this kosher. The point I'm getting at,
Mm-hmm.
if a parent is told that hands have been laid on their child, it doesn't sit well.
Yeah.
Well, I'll speak for myself. It does not sit well with me. You don't lay a finger on my child for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is telling your parents, I've beat up Taraji. And what they did was talk to him and say, tell me exactly what they did.
Oh, honestly, I don't really remember exactly what they did.
You have to remember.
They spoke on the phone and I think they told him not to beat me or something like that.
Are you sure? Because you didn't describe it like this at the beginning.
Oh,
What really happened?
honestly, I remember being pushed onto the sofa, being harassed and all, and then.
I'm talking about your parents.
Oh,
I'm
you're
talking about your parents.
Oh, my
Yeah.
parents. Okay.
I'm talking about your parents' response to this.
Yeah, I think they only say don't do that. Nothing much was done. At least no actions, probably just words. But
So for you as a child, right? Let's forget that you're a grown woman, Taraji, who's potentially getting married to Goody.
mm-hmm.
How did that really make you feel, knowing that okay, nothing much was really done, but somebody has laid fingers on you, laid hands on you?
I think I just felt like maybe it was my fault. I had not communicated well. Thinking about it now, I know I may actually have felt that way. That it was my fault.
Yeah. Okay. I'm only kind of speechless because with domestic violence, what normally happens is the victim always feels like it was their fault when 90% of the time it actually wasn't. It's the fault of the individual who wasn't able to contain their anger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, for the record, it was not your fault. It would never be your fault. It's no different to these men who say that I raped a woman because she was wearing a short skirt. It's got nothing to do with the short skirt, but everything to do with your inability to control yourself.
Yeah. True.
So were you generally this submissive to him and always felt he was right and he could do anything he wanted and anything he needed to do because if something was wrong, it would always be your fault?
Yeah, I was actually submissive, and he demanded that I be submissive. So, I mean, it got worse after we got married.
Tell me.
Yeah, I actually would get family meetings. Family meetings would be called for me, and he would be airing out his issues that he has with me.
Which were?
Just silly issues like I cooked late. I didn't cook lunch. I cooked late. Just silly issues actually. And it was like I think almost every week.
So you've described one thing so far, which is related to food. So you cooked late,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't cook on time. What else?
Oh, the other things I have forgotten. I actually ended up having to put a lot of stuff, where I don't think about it as much. Yeah.
Tuck them away somewhere.
Yeah. So I tucked them away because a lot of things actually happened. A lot.
Tell me more of those.
Okay. So this guy, Goody, he started like being friends with the spiritualist people, the people who are involved in spiritual things, occultic things, that kind of stuff. So they would always say things against me, like they before we got married, right? They had said that we were not going to be able to have children, and it was because of me. It was my fault. So we then got married, and then we didn't have that baby that we wanted. And so they would continually tell him that it was my fault. And then he would refuse to go to the hospital. I mean, I had to like ask him many times, let's go and do some checkups and all. So I ended up having checkups on my own. And then I didn't have any issue. So I ended up also like pressurizing him to go get checked because he was always accusing me and saying it was my fault, that kind of stuff. And then
Did
when
they check him at all? Did they check him at all?
they later did, and this was like 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they did check him, and he was the one who was at fault. But he would still continue to say it was my fault because his spiritual friends had said there was witchcraft or something like that.
That is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I left out one other thing that happened. So after we got married, a few days after like the lobola was done, I don't know what happened. This guy just got angry and he was like, get out of my house. And he made me sleep outside. And then he called my parents again and told them that I chased her away. She's sleeping outside today. And I don't know, they spoke on the phone. I was outside. And then he later came to gate me and tell me to come back inside.
How far did you leave from your parents' house?
Very far. 200 kilometers away.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Relatives? Families, relatives, parents, relatives?
They were all far, like really far.
Nobody was close.
Nobody was close.
Family, friends?
Well, we were only surrounded with his friends, not mine. So
and did you guys live in this area because of his work?
well, we lived in the area because he actually owned the house in that area. Yeah. So the only people, since I was now married, he was like controlling everything. I couldn't have friends. The only friends that I could have were the ones he had authorized or allowed. But then, well, he didn't allow anyone to be my friend. So I was banned from having friends. If I tried to have friends, I'll be told you can't play with this one. You can't play with this one because of any reason, because they are unmarried. And usually, like the people that I would try to befriend were like the people that he had introduced to me. So apparently, these people were like sisters to him. But then he would say, no, you can't play with them. So there was this other time where I actually did not listen and I continued being friends with this lady that he had said to not be friends with her. And she was actually someone that he had introduced to me. And he actually hit me for that. He actually, yeah, hit me for that. And I know.
So let's just talk about when you guys would have sex. Is it
Okay.
because you felt you wanted to have it as well? Would you ever initiate having sex, or it was always whenever he wanted? And on top of that, would he try and get you ready for intimacy, or he'll just say, I want it, and pull your pants down and boom, do the deed?
It was always when he wanted it. If I would try to initiate, I would be turned down. But then,
Because
I don't know. Probably it just didn't feel like it, so I ended up not, initiating at all because I would always get turned down. Always. So he would just get moody, like a lot of the times. I know, probably 3 days a week he would be moody, and I would have to like walk on eggshells.
so when he wanted sex, how would he make this known to you, and how would he be with you? I know I'm asking really intimate questions, but there's a reason why I'm asking this specific question,
Okay.
and I'll share that with you in a sec.
Well, we did the foreplay and all.
He did?
He was also the kind of guy. Yeah, he was a romantic guy to some extent. The kind of guy that would buy you flowers, sing songs for you, etc. Just as long as he feels like it, you do that.
And then on the days that he did that, you guys would then have sex.
Yeah, we actually had a lot of sex actually. So the sex life was actually okay. But then there were these times when he would just get angry and moody.
So I was asking that because this guy has isolated you from friends and family.
Yeah.
He threatens to do certain things to you, goes to the extent of beating you up and then reporting that he's beating you up. It doesn't quite sound like he would be rebuked for it or be warned against it or be notified of the consequences of doing that.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I was now thinking sex-wise is that I was becoming a little worried about it being consensual, because just because you're married doesn't give the man the right to have sex with you when you don't feel like having sex. Because if he ever does that, then that is rape.
Yeah.
So I guess the long and short of the question I was trying to ask was, did you ever feel like you were raped as a wife?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of red flags here, Taraji.
Yeah. A lot.
From what you've described, and I don't want to go into the details of that because something tells me this is really heavy for you, and you're keeping this high level for me for a reason that I'll respect.
Okay.
What I'm very keen on though now is to understand, what is it that eventually led to you guys going your separate ways?
Okay.
Are you officially divorced now or still going through a divorce?
We are officially divorced.
So what led to your divorce?
Okay. So the baby issue was like the number one factor. He thought I was, delaying him from doing what he's supposed to do as a man, probably being a father. And then by that time, I think I was also like, getting tired as well. And I just ended up, setting boundaries, and sometimes I'll just do exactly the thing that he'll do. So I wasn't affected by his moods anymore. I would be moody too if he gets moody. I would be angry too if he gets angry. And if he tries to hit me, I'll tell him, if you hit me, I'm leaving. So he wasn't doing that anymore. And the baby issue, he wanted us to go to spiritualist, and I wasn't willing to do that. So I did tell him that I was not willing to do that.
Mm.
And then he found a replacement and replaced me, and then he dumped me, which was okay.
Did you find this replacement whilst you were still husband and wife?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he basically cheated in your marriage.
Yeah, he did.
Did he try to hide it?
He did. He did try to hide it, but I had access to his phone. He didn't know. So I just kept on having this feeling that something is going on.
Mm.
And during that time, he wasn't communicating as much. If I call him, he would tell me he doesn't want to talk or that I should not call him. So I ended up going through his phone and then finding out that there was someone else.
Mm.
But then when I found out that there was someone else, that was actually after we had decided that we're going our separate ways. He actually came up with a very good plan to get rid of me. For the whole month, he was posting statuses, saying things like, you should let go of some people that bring you down, you should let them go, that kind of stuff. So I was wondering, why is he posting such things like almost every day? And I would ask him, what is this about?
Ooh, hold on a sec.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard that, but that was the UK is testing something to make sure that if there's an emergency, in quotes, we are notified of it. I think they're just getting us ready for an attack from Vladimir Putin.
Nice.
That's my theory. But yeah, back to your story. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was posting these kind of statuses on his WhatsApp, and then we were not communicating. We were not intimate during that time. So I ended up asking him, "What's up? What's going on?" And then he decided that we should sit down and talk. And then he called his relatives, some of his relatives, and then he said that he was depressed and stressed up, and that he didn't want Taraji to be implicated if anything happens to him, that kind of stuff. So I was like, so you are depressed? Okay, I can't be the cause of this. If you think it's good for us to go our separate ways, then it's fine. So we then chose to go our separate ways because we were actually really quarreling a lot. I mean, I actually ended up finding out that he was, cultivating these fights, making them happen, like almost every week would be fighting about something. And
what was his reason for that? What was his reason for
the fights?
Triggering you.
Honestly, I don't really know why. I don't know. I don't really know why. I actually found out after we decided to go our separate ways, because I was actually remembering that he was triggering fights so that I don't call him whilst he was cheating, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So he would do that, I guess, to control me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we then divorced peacefully. And
who initiated the divorce?
He did. He did. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Did he ever tell you why? Did he ever tell you why I was cheating on you?
Yeah, he wanted a baby. That's one. And then secondly, he said this other lady that he was going out with had no parents, so he didn't need to be anyone's son. That's
What?
what he told me.
Wait. He says
Yeah.
that this girl he was cheating on you with had no parents.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't want to be anybody's son?
Yeah.
I don't get that. What does that mean?
Well, he was always complaining. When it came to me, he would be complaining, your parents this, your parents that, your friends this, your brothers this,
Oh
your
my
sisters this. He was
God.
always complaining. Yeah.
Oh my. Oh, I'm dying to say something so bad.
Say it.
Hey,
Say it.
I
say
just
it.
feel like I just feel like telling him to fuck off.
Yeah.
Right? And that's all I've been meaning to say the whole time, every time you dropped something.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is he now?
Well, I haven't communicated with him at all. But apparently he's married.
Is he married to this woman?
Yeah, I think he's married because
I pray to God that some other man makes his wife in quotes pregnant with twins.
yeah, that'll probably happen.
That aren't even his
but
own.
That's a problem for the woman.
And on top of that, they fail to find Tinashe Mgabe's phone number.
Okay.
Or he's not available to do a DNA test. Oh my God, I cannot stand this guy.
Yeah. He was really terrible. So, yeah, during the time we were married, he came with a new ring on his finger. And I was wondering, why do you have a new ring?
When you were still married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during
so happy I'm not your brother, your uncle, your dad, your grandfather.
Yeah.
Because hearing all of the things you've described, knowing that these are happening to my child, or my niece, or my granddaughter.
Yeah.
So he comes with a ring whilst you're still married, and then?
Yeah, and then he gives me a really, a really weird reason actually, because he said that my other ring is now loose, so I bought a new ring. I was like, well, how can you buy a new ring? And I was not even there. So from then I knew something was going on, because when he brought that ring that weekend, I could not reach him. He actually told me not to call him. He created a fight again so that I don't call him and so that he ignores my calls. Yeah.
For the first time ever on this podcast, I literally have goosebumps because I am so upset.
Yeah.
By this. I genuinely do not know how you dealt with all of this, Taraj.
Yeah, I'm also shocked myself. I actually left some other stuff as well. There was.
It's almost I could almost say it's a good thing you didn't say, because I don't know if I would have been able to continue with this episode.
I have to say it. I need everyone to know.
Go for it.
I need to vent. Well, yeah. So this guy.
If I don't comment, it's because I'm genuinely just trying to keep it together.
Okay. So there was this time, right, after we got married, when I delayed in cooking lunch. He wanted to eat his lunch at exactly 1:30. So I was late. I delayed, and he took the pot, he threw it outside, like on the ground. And then you took everything, like their plates, glasses, and all, threw them down on the floor, broke them actually. And then he lifted me up and wanted to throw me on the glasses. And then luckily he didn't. I don't know what happened, but then he didn't. And then he stepped on the glasses and he got hurt.
Good.
Which was a good thing, because he was the one that was hurt. And then he would when we'd fight, like he would get violent. And then he would tell my sister that I wanted to kill her. I almost took the knife. I almost cut her. he would tell my sister that. The other issue is when he would be angry, he would come with a knife to bed and put it under his pillow. And I actually didn't have anywhere to run to because the place where we stayed, there was a drawer, and getting outside the house and then going to the gate was also hard because he was actually a strong person, someone who looked strong with muscles and all. So I couldn't run away. So I would always chill and not say anything and just pray that I survive the night. So before we got divorced, I was actually thinking I should run away from this person. And then he then gave me the divorce on his own, because I was thinking I should run away to another country or fake my death or something like that. But then I would always think that, well, I have siblings and I have parents. He would probably go for them because he was actually someone who would, I don't know, he would behave like he was on top of the law, like he can get away with anything. And so he would threaten me as well, that I will kill you, do that, and I will kill you, or something like that. I mean, I was threatened a lot that he would kill me, a lot. So I would hide the knives, hide the sharp things. Whenever I would go to bed, I would hide them. And then on this other day, I found a gun in the house. I had to hide that as well, carry it with me wherever I'm going, because I didn't want him to have it. And well, when he asked for it, I then told him that I don't want to see this gun. I don't know if he got rid of it or what, but he was just, predisposed to violence. He just loved violence. He would beat other people up, other people like other men. Yeah, he would do that. If he was angry, he would do it. Sometimes he'd blame it on me that I'm the one who has made him angry, so he beat so and so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have nothing more to say.
Yeah.
Except
Good
just be
riddance.
grateful you walked out of there alive.
Yeah.
At least it sounds like you have your mental state in a goodish place. I think it would be nice for you to speak to a therapist.
I actually did that. I'm actually still working on it.
Yeah, how's that going?
Going well. Definitely going well. Yeah, all those kind of things that happened, they had really negative effects on me because I ended up actually forgetting stuff. And apparently I had developed people-pleasing behavior. I mean, I'm so sensitive. If someone shows any sense of displeasure in me, I mean, it would affect me. But I wasn't like that before. And then, I did find out that I was lacking confidence. I had insecurities, and I was just afraid of everything. I was afraid even of meeting him. But I actually, try to do some work within myself so that I recover, because I don't want to be, living like that because of someone else.
I'm going to get off the phone now and catch up with you separately because I am bona fide triggered.
All right.
Like to the next level. So I'm going to wrap this up. For anybody listening to this episode, two main lessons came up. One, do not be desperate. It couldn't be more obvious here. And don't make everything spiritual is lesson number two, because you hung on to what the prophet said. You took that as the truth that was irrefutable, and made decisions that ended up being some of the worst experiences you have to date in your adult dating life.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 28.
Okay. Very good age. Really nice age for you to meet a guy who's serious about stuff and focus on what makes you happy. The way to approach humans in general, I think, whether you're a guy or a girl, in making your decision as to whether or not you want this to be a permanent situation, be with somebody whose worst side you can deal with.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can't, let it go.
Mm.
That's all I'm going to say. So as you progress from being a 28-year-old lovely woman into your mid-30s, 40s, whatever time you choose you want to get married and say yes to a guy, always pinpoint the bad things. And if you can deal with those, you're good to go. You shouldn't have to deal with sleeping with a knife under a pillow and wondering whether your eyes are going to open when you're on earth or you're now in another dimension. Whether you believe in hell and heaven, I don't know. But that's what this guy was making you think of on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves to be petrified. Nobody deserves to be, I don't know, violated and abused in the way that you were. Right? Actually, in the book of Galatians, sorry, I had to go spiritual here.
Yeah.
Right? In the book of Galatians, there's a chapter that says, and a verse that says, you are called to be free. Right? Mm-hmm. God by nature designed all of us to be free.
Mm-hmm.
And you deserve that as an individual.
Yeah.
And this guy was doing the complete opposite of what God has designed to be of humans. And in the same breath, this is the same person who was basically saying that you guys have been put together by the prophet because this is the right man for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet the reality is that he was terrible for you.
He really was.
Oh, right. I'm going to wrap this up. For those who've been listening to this episode of The Feeling Station, I'm your host, Tinto, and I look forward to catching you in next weekend's episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over. Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.
Kujidziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.